welcome to our special webinar. I'm your host, Lorena, and I want to welcome our esteemed guest, Rodrigo. Thank you so much for joining us. We are honored to have your expertise and insights in this webinar. I'm sure we will learn a lot from you today, Rodrigo.
Hey, Lorena. Nice to be here, and thanks for the invite. I'm glad we had the opportunity to talk here.
Great. You graduated in computer science from one of the best universities in Brazil, and 10 years ago, you came to the US. Could you share with us about your journey and experience?
Sure. Yes, I graduated in computer science from the Federal University of Uberlândia, my hometown. And after that, first I started working in tech like at a young age, like started coding at 14 years old. So I was always interested in this space. Then naturally I joined like a computer science course. After graduating, I just worked in the area in my hometown. And then 2012, I came to the US for just for like a vacation to San Francisco, LA, Las Vegas, and then I really enjoyed it. At that time, the company I was working in Uberlândia, it was going through major changes. It didn't secure the funding for the product they were building, so it's like a very undetermined future. So I thought that's the time I want to like jump the gun and go like try something new. And then I thought myself, I really like that area. So I'll just apply for a few positions there for a software engineer and then see what happens. If it doesn't work, I can come back to Brazil, continue my life. If it doesn't work, at least I got some knowledge. I got like better in English, made new friends and things like that. So I started applying for jobs in the US remotely from Uberlândia, got some interviews, with like major companies, even like Google, Amazon, and they all asked like, okay, you passed the first phase. Can you come next week for an in-person interview? And I was like, oh no, I'm in Brazil. So that's when I decided in 2013, around February, to go to the US as a tourist, as a business visa, just to be there for available for interviews. So that's what I did. Got a few in-person interviews. Like I did a lot of interviews, probably like 50 or 60 interviews to get like one yes. That's when Walmart e-commerce is the one that made the offer, and I accepted. At that time, they were looking for someone. It was a great time, like being the right time in the right place. They were looking for someone to be the bridge between Walmart e-commerce US and the new Walmart e-commerce Brazil, so to share technology. So they wanted someone like speaking Portuguese but being in the US. So I was probably like the only candidate at that time that checked those boxes. So they made the offer, and then I joined. While I was waiting for the visa, I stayed in Brazil for 5 months working in the Walmart Brazil, and then I came to the US in October 2013 to work at Walmart e-commerce, and that's I stayed for 3 years.
Just one comment. Sometimes the people think, oh, it was so easy, and hearing you worked hard. So congratulations.
Yeah. Took a while. Yeah, it took a lot of no's to get to yes, and it's
exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to persist. Yeah,
definitely hard. Yeah, it's even harder now because for this H-1B visa, like the work visa, it's like a lottery, and it's like 10 times people like wanting for one spot. So it's really hard.
Exactly.
But I'd say it's a journey. It's a journey.
Exactly.
And after that, after working at Walmart, so I started working on a side project, which at the end of the day became our startup. I co-founded this startup called Arena, and the first name wasn't Arena, it was like Station 5, but then we pivoted to Arena, and that's so I co-founded that startup, worked there from 2016 until 2021, joined Techstars Accelerator in Chicago in 2016, when I, again, jumping on a new adventure. Like, I quit my full-time job, had no money, or like had a few like savings, and then we bootstrapped the company with that money to try to create something new. And then we got some traction. It was a B2C at that time. We got some traction, around 300K monthly active users on the platform. And that's when we applied Techstars, secured that like small funding that they provide. We went to Chicago for 3 months, brought a team from Brazil as well, like some developers from Brazil to join us. Then we raised seed round, 2 rounds of seed round. And then during Techstars Accelerator, we pivoted from B2C to like be more B2B. That's how Arena was born. And from there, we just worked on like growth and developing the technology.
And this period, in your opinion, what was your biggest challenge?
When building Arena, the biggest challenge, I'm not gonna say it's like the only Arena's challenge, but most of the challenge was just finding traction, just finding the product market fit. Yes. I always say to founders that or anyone working in tech, that the easiest part is building technology. We can build anything. We can build like anything, but building something that people are really gonna use, that's the challenge. Selling that to enterprise companies, that's the challenge. So as much as it hurts to say I'm an engineer, like the easiest part is actually the engineering. The hardest part is like distribution, go to market, commercial strategies, market share, competition. So that's tough. We had some challenges with that product because it wasn't exactly like defensible. So we had like people copying us all over, like people from China copying the product, like just like the icons on the app, like everything they were copying, which is a good sign actually. Like it means like there's some interest in this area. So if you have that, I think it's a good problem. Don't focus too much on competition. Just try to be your best product. So yeah, I believe the biggest challenges were the go-to-market, distribution, customers, finding customers, paying customers, and of course people is always a problem. If you don't focus on your team first, then you have a problem. We made a lot of mistakes with the team. I believe you build great teams and they build great companies and they build great products.
Great.
Like you're just yourself, you don't build like great products. You need support, you need a team, and you need to really value the team. So I think those are some things that usually early stage founders don't understand. They're too heads down. They don't work on the company, like they work kind of on the product, but they don't work like to make the company better, to make the culture better, to make like people happy within their company. So I think that's a big challenge as well.
I agree with you. Team is part of the success, so 100% agree with you. Please carry on with your journey. I interrupted you, so I'm so sorry, but I was curious about your startup, so please carry on.
No problem. I stayed with Arena until 2021. From there, I left to I joined another startup in the construction space, Mosaic, a company based out of Phoenix. Is a tech-enabled general contractor for construction, really focused now on build to rent, which is a huge segment in the US. Build to rent is just building communities not for sale, or homes not for sale, but for rent. With the housing market the way it is, it's a very promising market. And the main reason I wanted to try something new. I wanted to work on startups that actually touch the real world, like something tangible, not just software, but something related to like the physical world. And houses it's very tangible. So I became very passionate about the housing market, real estate. We have big problems here in the US regarding housing shortage, rents increasing. So there's the labor of that market. It's also like it's not in good shape on the supply side. So they're very interesting problems for tech and people to solve over the next, I would say, like 2 decades. So Mosaic was a great company on the construction space. And last year, 2022, I joined another company in the similar space, which is Opendoor in the real estate. They focus more on the buy and sell homes. It's also a startup mode, although they're public. They went public a few years ago through a SPAC, but they operate very much as a startup. And within there, I work on the enterprise division, serving real estate institutional investors. Also on the single family rental space, working a lot of data products there.
Amazing journey. Thank you for sharing with us this amazing journey. And you mentioned it about Mosaic. I know that some startups have never worked with outsourced software engineers, and you have experienced this in Mosaic, right? Well, in your opinion, what are the benefits of this hiring model?
Sure. First, for early startups like Mosaic was when I joined. When I joined, we had only, I think, 3 engineers. I think I was the third. We were struggling to find like good candidates in the US. Some positions we had it open for 3-4 months, and we needed to build products. So that's where I came in, and I proposed to the leadership, okay, let's start hiring Brazil, and also find like contractors to like fill the gap within the product. So it was a good strategy. Like we allocated 25% of the budget to contractors, so that way we could fill the gap, like move the product, and then we had an option like, okay, we can like decide if you're gonna hire this person full time, if you're gonna find a candidate, or if you're gonna just keep with the contractor. So it's a good model for early stage startups, because it's really hard to compete for the good talent, because the FANGs like Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, like they pay a lot of money that startups usually don't have. Startups have more like equity to offer, but many people they don't want to take like just equity, like a big part of their compensation with equity. They want like a big cash compensation as well, and startups is like very cash constrained. So I think it was a winning strategy, because we could move the product forward like really fast.
And to adapt anytime, right? Because when you're talking about outsourcing in this, obviously you have to have great professionals. As you mentioned it, in Brazil, we have great universities in tech market. So obviously we have to bring great people. But one thing that I think that you can adapt anytime. And when you're talking about full-time positions, it's more difficult. So you have to make a decision today. You can do it, or if you can okay, let's bring more 5 or 10 professionals. You can do it faster than usually. So yeah,
I would say, especially in this market, it's very uncertain what's going to happen. I would say it's a very low risk way to keep pushing forward with your products on a very economic way, with great people. And I'm biased towards Brazil because I'm Brazilian, so the time zone is great. So the talent is great. They have good English. So it's like a no-brainer solution to pushing forward with your product, with your go-to-market strategy, in a low-risk way. Because if you hire like full-time people, and then you have to make a hard decision to cut staff, that's not a good outcome, right? So no one wants to do that. Not talking even about the costs involved with full-time. Of course, part of the company should be full-time. Sometimes that makes sense, but contracting is a great way to overcome that.
Great. I know that for startups that are hesitant to have an external team because they believe knowledge should be restricted to their in-house team, what advice would you give them? It means the best of both scenarios.
Yeah, I understand the hesitancy because there's a lot of bad players in the market that I've seen, like scams, like for external agencies, like holding information, like very like horror stories. And I understand, but I think the best way to overcome that is to be a collaboration, a partnership. So you should always have someone in your team working alongside, like every day with that team, with that contractor team, outsourced team. If it's not a collaboration, if it's like just a handoff, okay, build this for me, and then like in a month or 2 months, I'm gonna check your work. That's like doomed for fail. So don't do that. My biggest advice is like be a partner, maybe complement your team with some like external contractors, and you manage them, or you can build like a whole squad of people with a PM, designer, and a few devs. But maybe someone in your team should be like a PM as well, to lead that product and that like through execution. So I think that's the best recipe for success. And of course, if this agency or like the person you contracted, they have their own GitHub, their own like task management system, and they don't give you access to that, run away. That's not going to work as well. So you have the IP, make sure you have your legal documents in place, NDA, IP assignment, everything that they build is yours, and hold the keys for like all the GitHub, AWS accounts, anything that you think is like proprietary. If someone like doesn't want to give you that, so that's probably not a good partner.
Great, I agree with you. And even because today we have some kind of tools, observability, transparency, so the internal team, we're talking about a CDO or a product person can follow very close every single task basically, because with Scrum, for example, you can check what every professional is working on. So yes, I agree with you. And returning a little bit about the startup environment, in your opinion, what are the most common mistakes founders tend to make when it comes to software development, and how can they be avoided?
For software development specifically, they can make a lot of mistakes in many areas, but I'll focus on software development. I think the biggest mistake that I've seen is just over-engineering. People think their startup is going to be the next Google or Facebook, so they design something for billions of users. But I would always advise that, okay, build for the first 1,000 or for the first million.
Yeah.
Then if you have like 500
bring
million,
the money first, right?
Yeah, that's a very good problem. So solve problems as they appear. Don't try to over-engineer, like over-solve a lot of problems first. It's okay. A lot of people talk about tech debt in a bad way. I think some people are actually proposing to change that term. That term is like overloaded, is like a bit even like negative connotation today. But that is actually good because it allows you to gain the future value now, and then you pay later, right? When you want to buy a house, like you don't have all the money, so you take that and then you buy a house. You have your house now, you enjoy it with your family, but then you like slowly pay that debt. If you want to like build a tech debt free app, you're going to take a lot of months, you're going to take a lot of time, and maybe you lost your time into market. At the early stage, the engineering team should focus on supporting sales, supporting marketing, supporting the product, and shipping as fast as they can to get like real feedback. I don't remember how many times I had to rewrite my backend or my like the general app, because like we want to change new things. some things that we didn't work with the customer, so we had to build. If I had invested too much time on that, like stack or that piece of software, I would like just throw it away and then build again. So it doesn't make sense. I think the best way is like to build the minimal, like viable tech stack, I would say, to support the MVP and then go from there. Of course, that doesn't mean like bad code. That
Yes,
doesn't mean low quality code, because today, even with the tools that we have available to us,
exactly.
it doesn't mean that we need to ship like bad quality code. It's almost like the same velocity today, like to build unit tests, integration tests, security, a lot of the things, like just a given with the cloud providers and many of the tools that we have today. I'm not talking about bad code. Bad code just mean like bad developers, right? I'm talking about more like bigger decisions to use, I don't know, like Kafka or something like very fancy, like to solve like 10,000 over requests per second. That's gonna take a whole DevOps team to manage that. So that's what I'm talking about, more like over engineering, over architecturing, not about bad code. I think we should ship code, like good quality code, like day one, unit tests day one, also like good coverage. We can be fast and ship quality at the same time. So I think that's the biggest mistakes that people do. One of them. I think the other one is just not alignment with the product. At that time, like the engineering team should be really close to the product team and help them solve the problems and propose solutions as well. I believe the PM, the product management engineering relationship, should be a collaboration, not a handoff. The PM should just come with the why and the what it's going to be built, and then together the engineer, like they defined how it's going to be built, and they can propose
I
solutions.
think this is very, very important, because after all, we'll be the engineers to develop the application. So I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And another problem that I see with software development is just the engineers, they love like building with the new tech, with the latest new thing. And I believe in boring technology. I believe like technology should be boring. I mean, you can have like your R&D research department, but today, like to build most of the products, you don't need like a lot of fancy technology. So be aware of that as well. Like just use what's out there for a few years, that's being proved, that's being production. Of course, you can test a few things if you believe it's going to help productivity. But overall, your tech stack should be something you're familiar with. It's easy to hire for.
Yeah.
In some companies, I see they start like building microservices with Elixir, it's like a very eccentric, exotic language. And now some of those services, like the people left, and they can find people, so they have to rewrite the whole thing in like, I don't know, Python or Go or JavaScript. So be aware of like the tech stacks or the choices that you make early on as well. Try to like see the market, what's out there, like how the market is going. Don't try to innovate too much on the tech stack. Tech stack infra should be boring. And also, I believe many early stage companies today, they think that building the right tooling, it takes time. But today, with the current situation of cloud providers and infra as a code, it's easy. Like very early stage, you can build the whole thing. You can build CI/CD. You can build the whole infrastructure, integration tasks, like very, very easily if you have like the boilerplate in place.
And it's not expensive, because we can increase in after when you improve, and you can bring more clients, you can scale it on the cloud. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Like separate your accounts, have your CI/CD pipelines running. That's like a few days of work that's gonna pay off in like huge amounts, and anyone that you're gonna hire is gonna appreciate that so much. Maybe a few years ago, like I know like 10 years ago, was really hard to build that infrastructure. You had to use Jenkins or have to spin up your own like servers, and it was really hard. Like took months for us to build something like that. So I think with the mindset of like, we have those tools available for us right now at a low cost, you can buy or you can like just use open source. It's really easy to get the right thing in the right place on your like infrastructure developer experience day one. So I really believe that's also a mistake, that people don't invest a little amount of money and time on the beginning of the project, just thinking it's going to take a while, but it's not always the case right now.
Yeah, we have a lot of tools, but usually most of them, they don't have the knowledge to choose or to use it. So yes, we have 100 tools, but we have to understand and to choose it in the best way as possible, because tools are only tools and we have to deliver the product value to the customer. So yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking.
Just one point. Yeah, I think you touched a good point is about tools. A lot of engineers also, they love a lot of tools. They want to try everything. But I always come back to like, what's the actual problem we're trying to solve? Focus on the problem first,
exactly.
and then you can find the right tool for the right job. Maybe it's not a tool, maybe it's like a process change, the people change, or it can be a tool, or you can build something really quick internally. So focus on problems first. Be really crystal clear what problem you're trying to solve. Articulate that. Then you can like research tools. So, but start with the problem.
Yes, the best tool is here, intellectual capital, to choose which ones is the best for the project. And since you were talking about tools, technologies, I think that AI has been changing the course of technology. And how do you see the integration of this powerful tool in the new projects?
Yeah, I'm really excited about these new things that are coming up.
Me too.
For many reasons. Coming back to this, what I mentioned before about like unit tests in the beginning of the project. Before, it was like, I agree, it would take more time to build unit tests. It was an investment, but today with tools like GitHub Copilot and other tools like you can have on your ID, it's really easy. Like they write really good like unit tests. So I think it's gonna actually improve the quality of the software that we're gonna see in the next few years. So I'm really excited about those tools in the context of software development. I believe it's like an assistant. I still don't believe it's gonna replace developers because at the end of the day, like development is like a creative, it's a knowledge work, and GPT and these large language models, they're trained on the work produced by humans. But I agree that it's a good assistant. I've tried like writing Python code with GPT, and like it was good. It can give you like that, like it can solve like the code start problem, like the first lines of code. But you should be able to review that code because it makes mistakes. It hallucinates. Like for one Python test that I did, it suggested like one library that don't even exist, like just like made up stuff. So you should be able to review that. But I really believe it's going to increase productivity, it's going to increase quality. And actually, there's a few cool tools as well, like just to review code as well. So I think it's going to actually help review code and improve overall, like, just overall good quality. I think there's still like some things to be done in terms of security, because you should be aware, like sharing your code base with these tools, like how much these tools can be trained on your proprietary information. So I always like tell people to be aware of that. Make sure the terms of service are within your like risk tolerance, because these tools can read your code and train your code. And maybe if it's startup, like they don't have the proper like infrastructure in place to protect that information. So yeah, just be aware of like how you're sharing that with the tools. But I'm really excited, and with any disruption in the market, there's always like the naysayers and the advocates. When you see that like a lot of people talking about AI, like it's very polarizing. I think that's actually a good sign that it's something that's gonna be here for like to stay. I believe
And
it's
it's
not
not a product, right? We're talking about tools, the possibility
yeah,
of use it and bring it to the project. But sometimes when I'm hearing the people, they say, I have an idea and I want to, what is your idea? I want an AI product. But okay, but what is the product itself? AI
yeah,
will bring what? Which value do you want to intend to bring with it? But what is the product?
again, yeah, back to the problem. What problem you're trying to solve? Everyone is an AI company right
Exactly.
now. Like everyone
Exactly.
is generative AI. So it's just a good thing for investors to say. But yeah, back to the problem. Like what problem you're trying to solve? Again, a big mistake of founders and maybe engineers. They try to fit a solution into something. Like, and again, back to the problem. Like get a problem, crystal clear what the problem is, and then find a solution. Can be AI, can be like a simple spreadsheet even. Like if you're solving that problem, I think that what makes money. So yeah, I agree. It's like a overloaded, like very in a very hype stage right now. But it's a matter of when or like how, not if. I think there's no way back, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I'm impressed because usually when I'm talking about with a client, they introduce this is a person of business and this is a person of the technical. And you have exceptional technical knowledge and strong understanding of business. How did you achieve this ideal balance between the two?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I have a good answer for that. Uh, yeah, I think I always tell my reports and every engineer that I work with, the best engineers are the one that are like product focused and like business focused. They're not just there to write lines of code. They're like there to solve problems. And back to this, like back to the problem thing. I always go back to the problem. And since very very early on in my career, I was like always asking why. Like if someone gave me like a task, like build this, here's your task. Like why? What problem is this solving? And then if you ask like why, like maybe 2 times, 3 times, maybe you can find like a better solution. You can propose a better solution. So I think having that holistic approach, I know it's something I've always had like very early on. Um, it's something that can be learned as well. So I think that's the how, like it's like be curious, be put put yourself on the shoes of the customers. Try to think like that, how they're going to use this product, in which condition, what time of the day, is a weekend, is like a weekday, are they in their home, their office, like try to like really be that customer. I think having that customer first mentality, like problem first mentality, I think it's the key. Before like writing any lines of code, try to think like for like a few minutes why you're doing this and why it's important, what objectives this is moving for the company, what metrics is moving. So yeah, just like pause there. Don't be too eager to jump into the code and like build things. That's important, but maybe you have like better ideas. And I think with my startup as well, like it helped. As an early stage founder, you need to wear many hats. So I was doing sales, I was doing investor relationships. I was pitching to investors as well, trying to raise funds, working with marketing, understanding about SEO, um, paid campaigns, growth funnels, everything. Like, and I think that's the best school you can have. Is like work on an early
Yes.
stage startup, because you can do so much and learn so much. And I think that really helped me even improve like this kind of like a mindset.
Congratulations, because it's incredible how you can join both scenarios into a single person. So I think that's the first time that I talk with a tech person, but with this kind of business point of view. I really appreciate this answer because we are learning a lot with you. The last questions, Rodrigo, of this amazing webinar. What advice would you give yourself if you were about to embark on the journey of creating a new startup?
I think, yeah, back to the challenges that I mentioned before. I think the advice I would give myself more is like say no more often. For early stage founders, it's very easy to say yes to all the customers, to like all the investors, and then you can be pulled in many directions, right? I think you should you should have like a very your point of view and stick to that. Like early stage startups, not like exact science. It's a you have to go with your gut sometimes, and if you really believe something, like stick to that. And if someone tries to take you out of that path, just say no, thank you, talk to you later. But I think we lost some time like trying to please a lot of people and try to please a lot of people. I think you just lose focus. So I think say no more often would be a big advice. It's easy to say yes. You have a million things to build.
Yeah,
It's hard to say no and prioritize which are the more important.
it's hard to say no. I agree with you, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
Rodrigo, I really appreciate your time. It was a great opportunity to learn from you. I want to thank you to talk with us, and I hope talk soon and share more about your journey. I wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you, Lorena. It was great to meet you and answer these questions. I think it's always good to go back to the past, and yeah, it was really helpful. Looking forward to the next time.